Good evening, everyone. Glad everyone could join me tonight. Have some new people. So if you are new and this is your first time, make sure you put your email in the chat. So I'll make sure you will get the video and the screenshots from tonight's session. So the first thing somebody asked about this evening was combining like terms. Okay, so I have a nice little sheet on the screen. Let's go to a more difficult one. Let me see. Let's look at number 10. So, so Simone, I'm gonna mute you because I hear some noise in your background, okay? So if we look at number 10, let me increase the zoom so we can see it. Remember, it combining like terms right here. Let's look at number 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, okay? So we look at this part, not the coefficients. So if we notice, x squared and x squared are the same. These are considered like terms. Because they are considered like terms, we can combine their coefficients. So 18, positive 18 plus 6 equal 24. So this is 24 x squared. Highest degree first, then alphabetical order. So plus x plus 3y. That's really all it is. We're combining like terms. Got me?
Kinda. You make it seem so easy.
That's it. So no matter what it is, like if you look at number 8, let's look at number 8. So we got y squared, we got y, we got y, we got x squared. So the ones that are the same have this y here. So what we're going to do is look at their coefficients. 5 plus 5, 5 plus 5 is 10. So this becomes 10y. And then we just put them highest degree alphabetical order. So 5x squared plus 5y squared plus 10y. That would be your answer. That's all combining like terms are. So say for example, I had 6x plus 8x minus 3x minus 12x, right? So when you look at all those terms, they share a variable. They all have x. So that means I can combine the coefficients. So 6 plus 8 is 14, and then minus 3 minus 12 is minus 15. So we combine them, minus 15 plus 14 is minus 1. So all of this reduces to minus x. So remember, you look at those variables. So and another thing that people get confused about, it doesn't have to be one variable. For example, 5ab minus 8ab. Again, the variable is ab. That means they are like terms. So 5 minus 8 is minus 3. So your end result will be minus 3ab. Got me?
Yeah, I got it.
It wasn't even that tough, was it?
No.
Listen, sometimes math is frustrating, but that's why I try to explain it just the most simplest terms that I can. You know what I mean? So what I'll do is make sure I'll send you this worksheet so you can practice. Because I don't know if I did a
Okay, thank
video.
you.
I don't know if I did a video on combining like terms. So expect the video very soon. I'll probably do one this weekend on combining like terms just to have it up. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Good. Any other questions? Bridget, I know you have a question.
I do.
Because let me tell you something. It's like 4 or 5 people y'all battling to see who gonna do the most Schoology exams. And Simone and Bridget are y'all up there. Like y'all putting some work in. So again, y'all very close to taking that exam. So Bridget, what question do you have?
Well, I'm at work right now, but let me see if I can pull it up. But it's about the area in the it's the area over a silicon, but it's like
A cylinder?
yeah, but it's like three. It's like the width and the height.
All right, I'll find one for cylinder for you.
Yes, and I have the formula, but it's just not matching up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a common mistake that most people make is sometimes they get the wrong, they incorrectly the 3D shape, they get it incorrectly. So sometimes what people think is a cylinder is really a cone, or sometimes what people think is a pyramid is really a cone. So sometimes that's the issue. So let me make sure. So let me call up, or let me pull up some volume problems. So hold on for a second, and then I'll get a cylinder problem out, and we'll be able to do it. Let me get volume. And again, a lot of this stuff is available on Schoology. Let me see, volume, here we go, right here. Now this is a worksheet. I'm gonna open this up. And you said cylinder, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And volume is definitely on your exam. They usually gonna give you a rectangular prism. They're gonna either give you a cone or a cylinder, and then they sometimes give you a sphere. So usually volume is 2 to 3 questions on your GED exam. So that's something you have to be ready for. You have to be ready for volume. Usually they give you 2 or 3. Okay. And then they usually give you 1 surface area. All right. So I'm gonna open up this worksheet now. And I want you to tell me which shape is the correct shape that you're looking for to make sure you got it correctly.
Okay, let me see. That's the cone right there.
Which number?
Number, is it 5 or 4? I can't really see. It's 4. It must be 4.
Okay.
It's next to 5.
Okay.
Right
So
there.
that is a cylinder.
Right.
Okay. So let's knock this out. So I'm gonna mute you for right now. So somebody else's background. Let me see. Okay. All right. So we got a cylinder. So first of all, identifying the shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our formula sheet. Do I have my formula sheet open? Yes, I do. So we're going to go to our formula sheet and we're going to look for the formula. And this is important because I want you every time you're doing GED work, you should have 3 things out: scrap paper, your calculator, and your formula sheet. Every single time. Every single time. So when we look at cylinder, I'm going to decrease it a little bit so we can see it. When we look at cylinder, we find that a cylinder is here. So SA is for surface area, but we want the volume, pi r squared h. So also that's another thing. Make sure you read it carefully. Sometimes they'll give you the word cylinder, but they might want the surface area. So the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. All right, so let's go back to our worksheet. Pi r squared h. Okay, so volume is equal to pi r squared h. What are the knowns? What are the givens? What are they giving us?
Well, would they get the radius, which is 8?
No, that's the first mistake you're making.
12.
What is, so what's the height?
12.
The height is 12. What is this 8 right here?
That's the
Base.
the radius.
The
Nope.
diameter.
The diameter.
Oh, I thought it was okay because it's not half. I'm sorry.
Right. So remember, on a circle, from the center to the edge is your radius.
Right.
From one side through the center to the other side is your diameter.
Right.
So if you look at the base of this cylinder, it's a circle. What you should also notice is that what is volume? Volume is the area of this base times the height. Because your volume is 3 dimensions. The 2 dimensions is your area. The 3rd dimension is your height. So if you notice, the area of a circle is pi r squared. Well, guess what we got right there? Pi r squared times your height. So now, if the diameter is 8, what's our radius?
4.
16.
4. Your radius is half. So remember, I want you to visualize radius. So when you look at the two circles that I drew on the right side, look at the radius. The radius goes from the center to the edge. Well, the diameter is twice as big as the radius. So the radius is always half of the diameter. So we just fill in. What's pi?
3.14.
What was our radius again?
4, 2.
We're going to square it. 4 squared, not 4, 2, 4 squared. So a radius is 4, but the formula says square it. And what's a height?
12.
12. That's what you put in your calculator. Let's do it. I'm going to put this right in my calculator.
Mr. Kinsley, that's the easy one. That's not which one I'm talking about. I have another one, and it's hard.
Okay, give me the hard one.
Okay, it's Andrew's job is to attach a ladder to a water tank.
Mm-hmm.
The water tank is 20 feet wide. Is it silicon? Cylinder?
It's cylinder.
Yeah, cylinder, and
Mhm.
has a value of 9,420 cubic feet.
Okay, now that's different. Let
See?
me show you. It's still a cylinder, but let me show you something. Let me go to my blank page. So remember I told you when you're trying to solve something, you first identify the given. So read that to me one more time. You said it was 80 feet wide. What'd you say? How wide was it?
20.
20 feet wide. So 20 feet. What else did you give me?
And the value was 9,420 cubic feet. And they want to know if the length of the ladder is equal to the height of the water tank, how long is the ladder to the nearest tent?
Okay. So
One of your
remember,
questions.
it's not that tough. First of all, you got to identify that you got a cylinder. The second of all, the second thing you're going to identify is how do I find the volume of a cylinder? Pi r squared h. Then you identify what you know. So I know the volume. I know the width of the cylinder is 20, but that's another way of giving you the diameter. So the diameter is 20 feet. If the diameter is 20 feet, what's my radius?
10.
10 feet. So now I identified my givens. So I'm gonna plug them in. Instead of V, I'm gonna put 9,000. Or even let's do this. Let's do this. Watch this. I'm gonna show you something. And if first of all, I'm gonna solve it algebraically. Okay. First of all, I know what pi is. I know what r is. How can I solve for h? How can I get h all by itself? What would I have to do to get h all by itself? To change this formula. So instead of v equal, I wanted to say h equal. How would I do that?
Divide
Divide by what?
by the same number.
What number? There is no number. I don't see a number.
By the volume?
Okay. Wait. The height. Divide by the height, which is
By the volume.
Listen to what I'm asking. Okay, what if I had this right here? If I had 4x equals 16. If I wanted to solve for x, what would I do?
Divided by 4.
Why are you dividing by 4?
Because you are multiplying.
Okay, but what? Okay, you're dividing by 4 because you want to get x by itself. So you want to get rid of the 4. So when I look at this equation, pi r squared h, if I'm trying to get h by itself, what do I need to get rid of on that right side?
Pi,
Pi, what else?
volume,
No, we're not looking at the left side. Remember, the variable h is on the right side. So we're not looking at anything on the left side right now. All we're looking at,
radius
radius what?
squared.
Radius squared. So this is the most important part of algebra. One of the most important skills you're going to learn is how to isolate a variable, how to solve for a variable. That's the whole purpose of algebra. So in this case, when we had to solve for x, we divided both sides by 4. So those 4s are canceled and we get x all by itself. That's the whole purpose of algebra. That's why we do algebra, to solve for the unknown. So what we don't know here is the height. We know what pi is. We know what the radius is. We know what the volume is. So we need to get rid of pi and r squared. Now, when you look at this formula, pi is being multiplied by r squared, which is being multiplied by the height. So what is the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
So we're going to divide by pi r squared. Whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. Pi r squared. So we're dividing both sides by pi r squared. So now we're going to look at this right side. We're going to look at the right side. What happens to the 2 pi's?
Cancel out.
They cancel out. So they're not there. What happens to the 2 r squareds?
Cancel out.
What's the only thing we have left? What's the only variable we have left on the right side?
The
Height.
height.
Height. H equal volume divided by pi r squared. Now, if you go in my ebook, I give you every equation you need to know to solve for height, radius, diameter, whatever. I already do them for you. You don't even have to do this algebraic work. But this is one of the key concepts you need to understand, how to isolate, get a variable by itself. Now, all we do is substitute. What's V?
9,420.
What's pi?
3.14.
3.14. What's the radius?
10 feet.
Okay. Now, I'm not going to do all this work myself. I'm going to use the what?
Calculator.
Stop playing. We're going to use the calculator. If you don't understand, and I've been trying to tell you over and over and over and over, if you're not working with this calculator every day to pass this test, let me move all this up, make it smaller and move it up. Then I'm gonna make the calculator smaller so we can see the calculations. Okay, so I'm gonna hit ND for division, 9420. Hit my down arrow to go to my denominator, 3.14 times 10 squared. You don't even have to do 10 squared. You can put it in exactly the way you see it. Once you change that equation to solve for H. So that's why one of the reasons why if you go in Schoology under volume, I got a whole separate area that you got to solve for height. You got to solve for radius. So you got enough practice problems. Then you just get out of your fraction and press enter. So my height is 30. Now they said the ladder is the same height as the ladder, correct? What did they ask again?
Oh, they asked, let me see. I'm coming to it, wait. The height, wait, okay. They say if the length of the ladder is equal to the height of the water tank, how long is the ladder to the nearest tent?
Okay, so the height is 30, the ladder is 30.
No.
They said that the ladder is the same as the height.
Right.
So if the height is 30, the ladder is 30.
Right.
So again, one of the things you got to remember, every time you come to a question on a practice test on a problem, first of all, you identify your given. What did they give you? So once they give you the volume, once they give you the width of the cylinder, so what they did was they didn't say, okay, the diameter is 20, but you got to know the width, how wide something is in a circle is the same as the diameter. So they just use different vocabulary to say the same thing. So what you had to grab, the volume is 9420, the diameter was 10. That makes the diameter was 20. That makes my radius 10. And then you solve for H. So let's do that right now. let's do some of these things right now. Let's solve for the different things so we can understand how to do it. How do you solve an equation for an unknown variable? Because that's what they're going to ask you. They're going to ask you to solve for height. They're going to ask you to solve for length. So, for example, let me clear this out. And what we're going to do tonight is, I'm glad you brought this question up because this is one of the most important things in algebra. So, for example, the volume of a rectangular prism is what? How do you find the volume of a rectangular prism?
Length time width time height.
Okay, so now, say for example, I have a rectangular cylinder, right? A rectangular prism. Boom. You know, that's a terrible drawing, right? But it is what it is, right? And I told you that the volume was 600 cubic feet. The length is 20. The width is 10. How would I solve for H? How would I understand H? First of all, identify your givens. You know what the volume is. You know what the length is. You know what the width is. How can I change this formula to solve for H? What do I need to do?
Length times width under L and W.
What does under mean? I don't know what operation under is.
I'm sorry, divide
Divide by what?
L and W.
L and W. So whatever I do to one side,
Do to the other side, same
I
thing.
do to the other. The two L's cancel. The two W's cancel. We get H is equal to volume divided by length times width. Then you just substitute. What's my volume?
600.
600. What's my length?
20.
What's my width?
10.
What's 20 times 10?
6.
200.
200. What's 600 divided by 200?
300.
So my H is 3. Now let's test it. Let's make sure we're right. 600 equal 20 times 10 times 3. 600 equal 200 times 3. 600 equal 600. Check. Done. Being able to isolate a variable is very important. Because this, if they ask you for height, if they ask you, what happens is when you're in class, anybody who's in adult education class, what do you go over in class? Volume equal length times width for a rectangular prism, right? Volume of a cylinder, pi r squared h, right? You do all the basics, but they don't ask you to solve for, if they don't give you, if they solving for r, or if they solving for d, or if they solving for the height. But guess what? Watch this. Let me show you something. This is what's so important about that. Let me show you something. One of the most missed questions on the GED, look at this. Compute the area and circumference of a circle. Find the radius or diameter of the circle. Compute the perimeter and area of polygons. Find the side lengths of polygons when given the perimeter or area. Right? Listen, volume is not on here, three-dimensional shapes, but they ask you to solve for H. Let me see if I can, do I have one? Prison. Let me see. Let me go to Schoology real quick because I know I got them in Schoology. Hold on, give me 1 second. We'll go to Schoology and I'll find one for you. And we'll find one together because, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go back to my blank page and I'm gonna give a problem. And while we're waiting, I want you to work on this problem. I want you to solve it for the unknown. So, volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. I want you to solve for h, and I want you to solve for r. And let's see what we get. I want you to change this formula to solve for h, and then I want you to change this formula to solve for r and see what we get. Well, I'm looking for, while I find a problem for us. Volume. Let's go to Oh, here go one right here. Perfect. I love it. I love it. I love it. There we go, right there. Love it. Got one ready for us. Okay, so how will we solve for H? What do we need to do to this formula? If we want to solve for H. We want to solve for H. What will we do?
Divide
Divide by what?
pi and r squared.
Pi and R. Whatever we do to one side, we do the other. Pi is canceled. R squared is canceled. H is equal V divided by pi r squared. Now all you do is substitute the values that they give you and use your calculator. Now, this next one is a little harder. Actually, it's much harder. So this is why I give you the formula in the ebook. But let's work on it together so you can see it. Because they're going to give you a problem like this. If I wanted to solve for R, what do I need to get rid of?
Pi and
And what
height.
else? Pi in height. So I need to divide by pi in height. Whatever I do to one side, I do on the other. So I'm going to divide this side by pi times height. What happens to the two pi's on the right side?
Cancel out.
What happens to the h's on the right side?
Cancel out.
They cancel out. I'm left with what?
R squared.
R squared is equal to the volume divided by pi times h. Well, I'm still don't have R equal. Remember, we got R squared, but it's R equal. We want it to be T equal, U equal, H equal, R equal. How can I just get R if I have R squared? So when we multiply, the opposite was division. If we had to add, the opposite was subtraction. What is the opposite of squaring something?
Root.
What root?
Square root.
Square root.
Square root. So we take the square root of both sides. The square root and the square cancel. So we're left with R equal the square root of V divided by pi times H. So if they have a question where they are looking for R, this is what we will use. And I'm going to give you an example right now. So excuse my drawing, but what I want to show you is that you have to be able to isolate a variable because they're going to give you one of these questions. They look, and I can show you. I already showed you. What is the radius or diameter given the area or circumference of a circle? They're going to give it to you. It's one of the most missed questions. You're going to see it. What is the height of a cylinder? You're going to see it. So watch this. Let me save this. Let me clear the left side. And I'm going to do a problem. Let me see if hopefully I can copy and paste it right into this text. That'll be perfect. Let me see if I can. Nope, I cannot. So I'm going to type it in. Okay, so let me type it in. Let me close that. Let me move this out the way. I got 1,000 things open. I apologize. Let me clear this out. And do two. All right, so watch this. I'm gonna put this problem in. I'm gonna type it in here. 753.6, 753.6, 753.6, 753.6. I forgot the number already. Wow. 753.6. Oh boy. 753.6. Find the height of the tank. Make that a little bit bigger. Make it 36. Move this over. The volume of a water tank is 753.6 cubic feet. Cubic feet. The radius is 4 feet. Find the height of the tank. Okay. So when we look at this problem, well, we already solved for what H is. We said H, so T helped us. He said, listen, we started out with this original formula. So remember, everything is going to start out with V equal pi r squared H. How do you know what variable to solve for? Whatever it's asking you for. So in this case, they said find the height. That means we need to change this formula to solve for height. So here we're going to divide by pi r squared. We know our algebra rules. Whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. The 2 pi's cancel, r squareds cancel, and we're left with this formula here. So now, again, once you understand that's what you have to do, you grab your what?
Calculator.
Grab your calculator. This calculator is your friend. So I'm gonna hit ND because I know I'm dividing. My volume is 753.6 divided by pi r squared. We should know pi by now. What's pi?
3.14.
3.14, and the radius was what? What's the radius?
4 feet.
4. So 753.6. Now, why did I enclose the 3.14 in the 4 squared in parentheses?
Multiplying.
Because I'm multiplying. Now, this question now
Just
becomes an easy problem
multiplying.
because I'm multiplying. So I hit enter, and it tells me my height is 15. So H is 15 feet. Okay, let's change it up a little bit. We know all of this. We know the answers, but I want to show you how it works. We know the answers, but I want to show you how it works. So let me minimize my calculator. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it up. I'm going to change it up. Now we know the height is 15, correct? So watch this. Watch this. Okay, so it's a little different, but what I need you to understand is identify your givens, change the formula. This takes practice. So you work, you go in Schoology. I got enough practice problems for you to be able to do it. Okay, now watch this. I'm gonna grab my calculator again. Hold on. Oops, I wanted to take a screenshot of that first. That was the old one. Sorry about that. I never took a screenshot. So now we're gonna clear it out. Now, R equal to square root of V divided by pi times H. So that first thing we need to do is do square root. So that's second, and x squared is going to give you a square root. We have division inside the square root, so I'm going to hit ND. My volume is 753.6. Hit my down arrow. Pi is 3.14 times the height, which we said was 15. Get out of the fraction, get out of the square root, press enter. R is 4. Your radius is 4 feet. Again, practice, practice, practice. That's the only thing I can, let me clear this out for a second. Let me maximize this so you can see how I did it. So if you go back over it, you'll be able to grab your calculator and be able to do it. So it's not that that question is hard. You just have to identify what's given. Now, watch this. This is a second thing I want to show you. And this is the most important one. Okay, watch this. Watch this. And this is very important for you to understand. Very important for you to understand. Watch this. I'm going to take all this away. Okay. And I'm going to give you A is 2.5 feet. B is 3 feet. C is 4 feet. D is 8 feet. Okay. So I gave you the multiple choice. So what I'm about to show you now is how to do it if they give you the multiple choice. You don't even have to do it algebraically. But you got to be able to use your calculator. Use your calculator. So all you got, let me clear everything out. Listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat. When people see problems like this, they get so nervous. I'm trying to give you every aspect when you take this test, what to do. So they gave you the multiple choice. You don't know how to find a radius. But guess what they gave you? They gave you all the answers.
Yep.
All the answers are right here. So we know V equal pi r squared h. We got that from our formula sheet. So we're going to do pi, which is 3.14, times r squared. So we're going to use the first one, 2.5 squared, times the height, which is 15. Let's see if I get 753.6. Did I get 753.6?
Nope.
No. So guess what? I go back up into that original formula. I hit enter. I changed that 2.5 to 3 because that's my next answer. Delete the rest out. Oops. Delete the rest out. 3 squared. Right? Look at that. Look what I did. I didn't change anything. 3.14. I went to the second multiple choice, which is 3. Hit enter. Did we get a volume of 753.6?
Nope.
No. Go back into my formula again. Hit enter. Now I'm going to change that 3 to a 4. And I'm going to press enter. Oh, I didn't do any algebra. All I did was use the multiple choice. Did I get 753.6?
Yes.
I now found my answer without doing any algebra. But you must know how to identify what form. You got to identify the givens, be able to identify your formulas. And then if they give you the multiple choice, all you got to substitute in for each value until you find your answer. Now that's much easier. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
But unless you practice to see every which way they can give you a problem, this problem is a difficult problem. It's one of the most missed questions on the exam. So let me maximize the calculator so you can see it. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to. Oh, that's a whole lot. Let me see. So let me take a screenshot here. I'm not gonna be able to fit it all in. And then let me scroll up a little bit so you can see it. There we go. And I'll screenshot that. What I'm trying to do for you is so you want to be intimidated by this exam. It doesn't matter what they give you, especially if they give you the multiple choice. Especially if they give you the multiple choice. Let me see if I can find one more practice problem. Let me see. Let me pause the recording for a second while I look for what I just did real quick. Oh, I'm so upset at myself. Oh my goodness. All right. So if you go to my YouTube channel, if you go to a video, instead of having to go through the video for an entire hour or try to fast forward or go forward 10 seconds or whatever you do to try to find what you're looking for, to make it much easier, many of the videos have chapters. So you can go specifically to what area you're looking for. So it's 2 ways you can do it. You can either go here when it's loaded up, and you can point to each section. Let me show you. So this first section, system of equations example 1, system of equations example 2. I don't know why it's taking. Let me pause this for a second. My video is acting up right now. I mean, my internet. So system of equations example 2, example 3, example 4, GED math advice. So you can also go in that part, or you can click on more. My internet is acting up. And then you can go to each section, whatever specifically you're looking for. So this video, system of equations, I got 4 examples. Equation of parallel and perpendicular lines, I have 3 examples, 4 examples. I got 2 parallel, 2 perpendicular, and you can go right to those. So if I want to go to parallel, to understand parallel, I can click right on that link right there, and it'll fast forward to the problem with the parallel. So you won't have to, you know, try to find it yourself. So I wanted to make that clear for you. My computer saying low system resources are affecting your video and audio quality. Close some applications to improve performance. So I want to apologize for that. I do want to apologize for not putting the video back on. I'm very upset at myself. Again, so if you're new, put your name in the chat so I have it, so I can send you the video. If you want to purchase the ebook, you can go to passgedmath.com, and towards the middle of the page, you'll see where you can purchase it. All right, everybody have a good night. Any questions before we go?
No.
No.
And again, I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Angela, you still here?
All right, Mr. Tinsley.
How you doing? I had a
Okay.
young